Welcome to the Underground Nation podcast, where the underground comes alive. Tonight's episode features Sharpened.Lives, a genre-bending trio redefining heaviness through glitch, grunge, and raw emotion. Hosted by With the Ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie, we dive into their journey from DIY beginnings to confronting police brutality in their latest single, A Whole New World. Tune in, turn up, and explore what it means when life imitates art. Visit underground-nation.com for more.
Welcome back to the Underground Nation podcast. It's your host with the ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie. And tonight, we're diving deep into the cutting edge of heaviness, where music, art, and life collide. Joining us are the Boundary Breakers from Sharpened.Lives, a trio born from journalistic grit, queer perspectives, and experimental fire. From testing songs on the streets of Groningen, Maine, and Amsterdam, to crafting an EP that blends filthy glitches, horror samples, and genre-fluid chaos. They redefine what it means to be heavy, with influences spanning drum and bass, grunge, industrial, and nu metal. Sharpened.Lives is not just a band, they're a movement. Their latest single, A Whole New World, confronts ongoing police brutality head-on, and with a new EP dropping next summer, they're here to shake your reality. Are you ready for the test? Let's go, and welcome to the hot seat, Alex of Sharpened.Lives. Welcome to the podcast, Alex. How are you?
What's good, Ryan? I'm good. How about you?
Oh, a lot better now that you're here, my friend.
That's sick. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We have quite the time difference between us. I forgot the time difference. I think it's like 12 hours.
Oh, I think it's seven hours, right? I mean,
7 hours. Okay.
It's 8, like 20 past 8 over here right now.
Where are you at right now?
Mainz, next to Frankfurt.
Out in Germany.
Yep, exactly.
Very cool. So 8 hours difference between us.
Yeah,
Very
seems
cool.
like it.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to calculate the time and make sure we got together. It's amazing to have you. I wanted to ask you, Alex, what does the name Sharpened.Lives represent to you personally, and how does it reflect the weight you carry in your music?
Basically, there's an easy answer and a more differentiated, complex answer. The easy one is just it was a play on words. I had sharpened knives in mind, and then I thought okay, that's maybe a bit too goth or emo if you don't want to settle on one specific brand. I want to leave like questions open for what it might be. So I changed the K and N for an L and said like that's sick because you don't know what it actually means, and you can prescribe a lot of different meanings for it. So that's one version of it, and the second one is that it's about like sharpened perspectives, sharpened perceptions, sharpened takes on modern music. And what I mean by that, and I don't really want to sound arrogant, but I just think there are some bands out there that just try to be genre bands and then try to excel at that when we're living in a type of remix culture where many things are thrown together. And that's how I've always approached and enjoyed music myself. So we're just really trying to blend different genres and give it our best at whatever we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Incredible. Sharpened.Lives, sharpen reality, sharpen up your perspective, walk out looking sharp.
Exactly, that's part of the deal.
I get it. I like the swag.
Thank you.
But I mean, y'all have described the project as a mixture of journalism, queerness, and experimental art. How do these intersections shape the way you write and perform?
Well, basically, it all comes from the very starting point of the project. So, our drummer Freddie and I, we used to have a different band for many years. I think like for a decade, and then
Freddie.
Yeah, exactly. And 2 songs were left over, but we basically just put all those things on ice because I went to the Netherlands to Groningen for my journalism masters, and
Oh,
then
wow.
and then the pandemic hit, and I started writing new songs and came up with this idea of integrating my perception of the world and how maybe from a journalistic perspective someone would shape the whole narrative of a song and then putting that into songs as well. So we're using a lot of quotes as well, both on record and live. We're trying to create this weird feeling somewhere between academic criticism, journalism, multi-genre variety, and absolute chaos. And that's basically all a realm. Like, we would never write the same song twice or just stick with the same vibe for an entire song, because I'm just very ADHD, undiagnosed, but at least I get very bored quickly by the same-ish parts. We just try to switch it up.
I totally get bored too. I'm a solo artist, and I make hip hop music. And I just like you said, we live in a world where you could just play around with so many different things and experiment with different sounds, and you reach out and work with so many different people across the world. Why stay in one lane when there's so many different turns and twists that we could take?
Exactly. It's just fucking boring otherwise. That's
right. Have fun, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, starting as a solo desktop project during a pandemic, as you were just saying, then evolving into a trio, how has that journey influenced the sound and energy of your music?
Well, first of all, when I basically on my own did the recording for Fear and Loathing in DC, which is a song I would like to dig deeper on in a second as well, but that was like the starting point where I thought, okay, at some point, hopefully I'm able to perform this live. At the time in Groningen, I had a different project, which is just like a duo with another friend of mine, both playing acoustic guitar and singing at some events and busking and stuff. But I always wanted to have another heavy music project, and there was never any chance in sight where I could see it happening. And then as the pandemic progressed and I was writing more songs and collecting ideas, I hit up my best friend Freddie again and said, "Hey, we should really try to get this on a stage and get this concept, I don't know, put it to life somehow." And in 2023, I encountered an acquaintance of ours called Niklas, our bass player currently, and I realized he's the only person I could ask to do the job, because we needed a third person that can play keys, sing harmonies, play bass, potentially play guitar, and also, take over some of the songwriting duties together with me, just to give it a different viewpoint. And yeah, luckily we did that, and we've never looked back ever since. Like, there's no scenario in which we would like to add any third member, because we like this tension between only having one guitar and one bass to fill up the space and then create great atmospheric backing tracks that are somewhere on the verge between industrial noise and ambient, but then crafting that together so it's a type of organic thing. Sometimes even some rave elements. It's just lots of fun to experiment, because there's endless possibilities.
Absolutely. I definitely like the rave, dubstep, EDM.
Yeah. I mean, dubstep we're missing, to be fair. You bring up a good point. Maybe at some point we should, because I used to be into that shit a lot, like especially 2012. I don't know if you know Enter Shikari.
I do.
Yeah, that's literally my favorite band, and us collectively as a band love them a lot. So we like this fusion of the very electronic styles and then post-hardcore and heavy approaches to songwriting. That's just exactly my jam. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, as you're mentioning here, you pull from a wild range of influences. Enter Shikari, as you mentioned, Arcane Roots, Code Orange, Fever, 333. Well, while staying genre fluid, what's your process for blending so many styles without losing focus?
Dig into what you're hearing with Sharpened.Lives. Raw, heavy, and unfiltered. But they're not the only ones battling their way through the dirt of the underground. There's a whole world of artists grinding in the shadows, making noise, and rising fast. Discover the next wave of underground talent, exclusive interviews, and breaking stories only at underground-nation.com, where the underground lives, breathes, and breaks through.
To be fair, I don't really think about it. I think it's just my brain. It's both a warped and pretty dark place. So sometimes I think about this megalomaniac hook idea, and then after that, I want to chase it with absolute freaking filth, and that's just that's just how
Let's
I
get
work.
dirty.
Exactly, and I think it's pretty much that, and as I said before, not wanting to recreate the same thing again and again in the song. So even when we bring back parts that have been the song before, we like tweak them a tiny bit. So there's always a type of progression. Because like if I wanted to make radio hit rock or high octane rock, I could be doing it, I think, but I just get super bored. So I don't really want to deal with that. I want to mess with people's expectations and play around with our release schedules to give people a single. For example, the next one that's coming up, which is going to be the first one from our upcoming EP or album, depending on what it's going to be. That's just one of the catchiest songs we've had so far, and it gives you hints of metal, and then the single after that is just gonna be the complete abyss of chaos, and there's no resemblance that this is really the same band. We want to make people stay at the edge of their seat so they don't know what to expect from us on any type of release.
Absolutely. That sounds wild and fun.
It is.
I like wild and fun, especially in the same sentence.
Me too.
But I like the fact that y'all have blend like horror movie samples and I don't know. I guess uncomfortable songwriting are bold choices. But what's your intent behind pushing listeners into that unsettling headspace?
I mean, that's for different reasons. One is more the personal side of it. Some things I've went through a couple of years ago. I went to a festival in Romania, and I was basically awake for a multitude of days. There's no way of telling if it was like 7 days to 10 days, but it
Oh
was
my gosh,
definitely
no sleep.
it was yeah, only like a nap in between, which doesn't really count as sleep, but just like passing out. And it's obviously to do with the past that I had with hard drugs, and that was just the absolute peak of it, of self-destruction. And parts of these EP are just inspired by that and this like horrific experience, because what basically happens is you lose your sense of self, you have no perception of self, and your surroundings just become this bubbly fog, and you don't know what you're actually dealing with, and it's an absolute nightmare that I wouldn't wish on anyone, even Trump. But
Well, I don't know. You can go ahead and let it go. Let it roll on him. I won't.
Maybe.
I won't say
Yeah,
nothing.
I was just trying to be nice, for the sake of the listeners, but like, fuck him. Maybe he would deserve that. But yeah, so that's the one side of things, and the other one is just how do I word this? Yeah, the general perspective on the world and wanting to do some social commentary without just being a sloganeering band that says, okay, this song is this and this, and the whole song has one subject matter. We like to do a bit more of lyricism and music that makes you read between the lines, so people who are inclined to pick up on the social commentary can. But if they're not, they can also just, I guess, enjoy the music. I do generally prefer people, though, who do pay attention to lyrics and the overall message. The reason being, I don't want to play in front of Nazis ever. So, would be nice if people were actually aware of that, at least.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say on behalf of the entire Underground Nation, thank you for waking up from that nightmare and putting forth something positive into the world.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely welcome. I can hear the passion in your voice as you're talking about this project.
Thank you. It means a lot because on many levels, I think for me personally at least, I don't know if I speak for the entire band, but this is like the pinnacle for me of being in a band and having a creative vision. Obviously, we're all pretty broke and we don't have a lot of budget. It's all DIY. The only thing we give away is like mixing and mastering to someone else. But we're very closeted on all of these processes just to not, I guess, have other people really mess with our ideas too much. And it's crazy to see that last year we built up a following and we were maybe at 300 something, and I was using the band channel as my personal profile, which looking back was a pretty smart move because I was able to build some organic following for people that wanted to be up to date with me. And then I made my personal profile and we garnered like, I think we're at almost we're like at 1.9K on Instagram now after starting at 300 last year in February. So that's a pretty cool progression in my opinion for a band
Yes.
that hasn't really played far outside of their area, and just like being able to be in touch with public discourse and yeah, not music trends, but just things that work for our music specifically.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoy social media, and being that you can have an outlet to reach anyone in the world from the comfort of where you live, I see it as being very powerful, and everyone should be taking advantage of it. Have y'all thought about performing live, like on a social media platform?
Do you mean like as in a live stream or?
Yeah.
We actually did that last week.
No kidding, and I missed it. Damn
Yeah,
it.
it was live on Twitch, but the good news is we're gonna actually buy the stream so you can watch it in due time.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a crazy experience, and actually just getting back to the influences that you also mentioned, Code Orange were one of the first bands to like make this Twitch live streaming thing big, and I was watching it all the time during the pandemic back in the
Yeah.
Netherlands and thinking that's so sick. I want to do this someday as well, and it was an intense experience knowing that you're playing for a camera and you have to act in your role, but it's just one cameraman walking around and three or four other cams that are set up across the room, but you
Right.
have to pretend like it's a room packed with people. That's definitely a good practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Millions of people can see that. Millions.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I'm excited. I hope I don't miss the next one. What's the name of the Twitch channel that we could go check out?
It was called Stage House TV, but as I
Oh.
said, we're gonna do like buy the stream and upload it on our own YouTube channel.
Oh,
So
sweet. Okay. Well,
I
let's go check out Sharpened Lives on the YouTube. Yeah.
yeah, it's actually one of our smallest platforms. But you know, you just gotta supply the different social media categories, and eventually it all grows a bit. That's how
Absolutely. Well, when
I
when you
treat
get
it.
that long form video of the live stream, now you could go chop it up and make reels and put it on your Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah, that's the plan exactly. Yep.
Woohoo! Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see this. The single "A Whole New World" is powerful, tackling police brutality.
Thank you.
How do you balance writing music that's socially urgent while keeping it artistically authentic?
Ooh,
And now, it's time for a musical break. Up next is Sharpened.Lives with their latest single, A Whole New World. A hard-hitting track that rips through the silence and confronts the chaos of our times. Turn it up, feel the weight, and let the sound speak truth. You're listening to the Underground Nation podcast, where the underground never sleeps.
We better hold on for fascination. From the feminine wars and from a sexually pain. Why don't see evils to let them be? When you fight the wars, they come for us instead. See it dead for the blade. Living from the tendency. See it dead for the blade. Time is up, we see the violence in your head. Flashing enemies, lost serenity. Legacy comes for your moral clarity. Sending
does show a violent encounter between 3 officers and a suspect.
The video appears to show them pinning a man down during an altercation and repeatedly punching and beating him to the head and body. And at one point, one of the officers appears to slam
That's a tough one. I gotta think about that for a second, but I would generally say that as a coping mechanism for me in life, it's either vocal stimming or writing very aggressive stuff in order not to lash out at anyone in my immediate surroundings. Um,
Get it out, man. Get
but
it all out. Better out than in.
but Well, it's just like there were so many things happening that inspired the writing of that song, and ironically, like last year in June or August, it was written, and we wanted to put it on the initial record, but then decided to shelve it and release it later this year, um, because yeah, there were lots of different things happening from like police brutality against pro-Palestinian protesters, and then when the single was coming out, stuff started like yeah, basically ICE in the US and lots of more police brutality in France, for example, or Germany also, and the UK, and also in Istanbul and Turkey. And there were so many different things happening now with Nepal as well, that for some reason, when the song was finished, the subject matter became even more relevant, which I thought was
Yeah.
kind of crazy to witness. Um, and generally, how to keep it authentic is just, I don't know, I view the world through my own lens and the problems that I see in the world and try to package it into aggressive music with nuance, and the rest comes all by itself. It's not like I'm trying to sit there and think, oh man, it's a beautiful day. I'm gonna write a song now about a president. No, it's just shit I see on the news and social media, and I'm like, it rubs me the wrong way, or it like sounds the alarm bells in my brain, and I'm like, okay, I gotta write something about this. It's not because I have a preconceived idea of, oh, I want to write a song about this certain topic. It's always informed by real life things that in some ways I put into semi-fiction or just real-time political commentary and try to keep it as up-to-date as possible, meaning
Sure.
that I will also tweak the live sets every now and then to put in more modern quotes or more recent quotes, depending on what the songs are about and if there's any recent subject matter that we can refer to and cite there.
Absolutely. Incredible. Well, thank you for speaking your mind and spreading the message. I mean, it's amazing. I'm totally behind that, 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Can I learn how do your experiences, or how did your experiences abroad in places like Romania, Amsterdam, how did those reshape your worldview and in turn your songwriting?
I mean, in general, it just opened me up to many more subcultures of music. And one of the main things was obviously the Netherlands has a very big electronic music scene, going to lots of illegal raves.
Illegal
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah. They have a lot of them. And actually, they're better than the clubs because you just get to go into an open field and freeze your ass off at like maybe -2 to 4 depending on the season or
Oh my
whatever,
god.
and you're just standing there with some friends, some strangers, and listening to nice dance music, and that really made me want to implement all these rave elements that come to the foreground more in the live setting for us because we're bridging the songs with these types of interludes most of the time. And as for other countries, I don't know if I've traveled to quite a few places, and just to give some examples, like China, Egypt, Romania, most places in Europe, and that just yeah shapes you in a way. I've also had like a musical upbringing of Latin music, especially for drumming, because drums were my first instrument,
Oh
and
wow.
both my our drummer and me had a teacher who was very keen on Brazilian carnival music style, marching drums, and all those things that go with it, like agogos and um, drums that you don't necessarily use in Western music, and the weird rhythms, polyrhythms, odd measures, all that plays into it. And yeah, when we conceived this project and started to make it a reality, we said, okay, we don't want to be confined by either a specific genre term or just making punk music or rock music or more electronic music. We wanted to put it all in there and see what happens. And admittedly, it's a bit harder to reach a big audience quickly because many people just think it's very neurodivergent core. But at least it's how the music needs to sound in my brain, and some people are catching on. And as long as it resonates with some people, that's cool for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned as well as childhood friends and now bandmates. How do you navigate creative disagreements and keep the vision sharp?
This episode of Underground Nation is brought to you by our sponsors at Flawless Cleaning Professionals, Denver, Colorado. Dedicated to transforming homes and businesses, they deliver top-tier cleaning solutions, residential, deep cleans, office spaces, and even post-construction projects. With unmatched attention to detail and a commitment to quality, they'll leave your space sparkling whether it's weekly service or that big occasion. Message Ryan Chavez of Underground Nation today for a free quote and to schedule. That's Flawless Cleaning Professionals in Denver, Colorado.
To be fair, there aren't that many disagreements. I think we're all pretty
Hey, right
much
now that means we jiving.
yeah,
We got the
yeah,
vibe.
yeah, yeah. We're like pretty much on the same vibe for all of the creative directions, and I'm incredibly lucky to have a band around me that just accepts me wanting to scream out all the socio-political commentary, and they're like, "Yeah, that's sick. Let's maybe do it like this." Because I can imagine many other band settings where they would say like, "Oh, why can't we just write a song about the breakup of our ex-girlfriends or something?" And that's just not the case here. We're all more inclined to do a real perspective on things happening in our world instead of just the personalized, oh my god, I went through these 5 different relationships, let's fill 5 albums with it like Taylor Swift does. Sorry, Swifties, but like um that's just not my vibe. I think it has its place, but it's
Yeah,
nothing that will make me go crazy for it if everything is either just about a dramatized version of a relationship and just the oh woe is me type of thing. We're trying to combine both the melancholic and the anger and yeah, give it a
that's right.
proper stage.
Absolutely, and I'm enjoying that stage. I can't wait to see more of it.
You will. You will.
As you mentioned earlier, you've taken the do-it-yourself route so far. What's been the biggest financial challenge of independently producing and promoting your work?
Um, Honestly, just reach. I mean, um, if you look at it, even now, I'm just sitting here with the same MacBook that I'm recording stuff on. So,
Oh,
um,
cool. Yeah,
I just
MacBook.
yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to give like an Apple endorsement here or something, but it's just
No, I get
um,
it. Sometimes you gotta
I'm
give
just
props to the MacBook that just won't give out. It's fighting right along with you.
exactly. But But generally, I think we're not using the craziest equipment and stuff. Like I use field recordings a lot, so I also walk around with this cheap ass iPhone 11 and try to capture sounds and noises that somehow rub me the right way. For example, like a traffic light signal or a coffee machine that sounds cool, and then try to implement that alongside the quotes into the music. Um, Now I actually forgot the question. I'm sorry. Can you maybe repeat it?
It's okay. I was just asking about the do-it-yourself
Yeah, yeah,
route that y'all have taken. What's been the biggest financial challenge of
yeah.
independently producing?
I mean, honestly, I would say it alleviated us of some of the financial challenges because we weren't like we didn't have to go into any studio. We just um, put out the blueprints of the songs. I give them to the band. We talk through sections we want to improve and jam it out in the rehearsal space, and then take it back onto my laptop and try to tweak it in a proper way. But it's
Nice.
never like I think, oh, okay, guys, we're gonna go to the studio. We're gonna be there for a week. We're gonna track 8 songs, and it's all gonna be perfect. Because for this type of music that we're making and the layers, we need all the space we can get, and also like it has to develop. It needs to ripe in a way. Um,
Right.
so I prefer sometimes having demos on my laptop for maybe a year or almost two, and just seeing how I can add on to bits and pieces. And then when I do, I try to complete it. But if I tried to capture that in a studio, I just know that our songs would sound a bit half baked because I wouldn't have all the creative input necessary to make them sparkly. And uh, yeah, that's just really
Incredible.
relevant. To be honest, also the financial aspect, what is the most difficult is just reach, as I said before, and then trying to get shows. We've been quite fortunate that most bands around here actively also want to play with us, so we didn't have to
Nice.
organize a lot of gigs ourselves, but we mostly got invited to other places. And I remember how it used to be with our old band. Like, nobody cared about your metalcore band. It was just like, yeah, whatever. If you're cool, then we're friends, then we can maybe do a show. And nowadays, it seems like people are collaborating a bit more and checking on the socials to see what else is out there. And back in 2014, it just wasn't the case. So you had to build your own network and, yeah, see how far you could get.
Yeah, I totally get it. Which I still believe in community building. You should be focused on building a
Yes.
whole community around your music for your core fans
Yeah.
and then keep expanding.
Need custom merch that makes your brand stand out? Smoke and Barrel Apparel has you covered. From screen printing and embroidery to promo gear for your next event, we bring your vision to life. Trusted by artists, businesses, and creators across the underground nation. Visit smokeandba.com today and gear up with style. Smoke and Barrel Apparel, wear your brand, live your grind. Proud sponsor of the Underground Nation podcast.
Exactly. And speaking of that, we got some nice surprises for later in the year. I can't say too much, but in October we'll have something special come out that we've been working on for a very long time. That is pretty
Oh
much
my.
It's pretty much connected to the realm of our music, but it's not music itself. Just to put it that way. So
Oh my
let's
goodness.
let's see what people expect and think. It's a small Easter egg thing. It's nothing crazy, but I think it's
Wow.
going to be cool.
I think it's going to be cool just by the way you're just talking about it. Like, hold on, how do I get a sneak peek?
Oh, well, it's definitely something that involves your laptop. That's all I'm going to say, or your phone.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. It looks like we're gonna be able to find a door to step into a realm of sharpened lives that can
That's
help sharpen our
correct.
lives.
Exactly.
Hey,
That's
now look
that's
at that.
very much correct. There's a
Look at
door
that.
in this thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
There's a
but the
door.
only question is now: are you gonna walk through
Uh,
it?
yes, if you succeed, you will walk through it. I'm trying very hard not to spoil anything right now,
I know.
but
I'm sorry.
um,
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
it's all good.
That's exciting. I like sneak peeks. But anyway, with a new EP on the way next summer, right?
Yes, that's a
Next
planned
summer.
planned release date. Should be, let's just say May to July, just to keep it open. I'm not certain yet, but
Okay.
that's the
All right.
idea.
New EP on the way for next summer and more singles dropping along the way. What's
Yes.
the what's the biggest evolution you want fans to hear in your sound?
Um, I think it's not so much just the evolution in sound, but the silver lining that goes through the records, because we have this type of thing in our minds that all the records are connected in one way or another, and that if you listen to the first EP and then the second and then third or whatever, you see a type of thematic progression and types of motifs, both lyrical and musical, popping up every now and again. Um, because while I can appreciate artists that like one album as its exclusive thing with one theme, I also like to draw on the interconnectedness between things, because that's also how life works, how we interpret journalism, world news, the culture that surrounds us all. And I think that should also be represented on the records and how they flow between each other and how they're interconnected.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very unique.
Thank you.
Alex, if a young artist came to you today struggling to express their identity or message through music, what's the best advice you could give them about pushing forward?
Honestly, go crazy and try anything you can, because even the missteps you might conceive as a good step in the long term at some point. If you have a song that you've shelved for ages and you didn't have any solution so far, maybe just give it a rest for a couple months, dig it back out again, try a different angle, try and approach it as we do in a bit of a journalistic way. Try and see different sides of the coin and what you can do with your sound. And with the era that we're living in and the type of crossover, also with artists like Olivia Rodrigo putting some of the grunge elements into very popular music, I think there's lots of opportunities that have opened up for newer artists to just merge different spheres of sound. And it's not all separate entities. It's becoming more difficult to separate genres and bands from each other. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It means there's more collaboration happening, there's more connectedness between artists that do not necessarily belong together, and you should thrive on that. That's also a type of community building that will help any artist in the long run.
Absolutely.
Try to not just stick within your scene, step out of it, seek different inspirations and bring them back into the scene and see how it merges, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely is. It definitely is. Very good advice. Thank you for that, Alex.
Very gladly.
Absolutely. That was good.
We're taking another musical break, this time with Sharpened Lives and their intense single ORA. A dark, chaotic journey through glitch, grit, and emotion. RA pulls you deep into the band's raw experimentation and fearless sound. Crank it up and let the heaviness hit. You're tuned in to the Underground Nation podcast, where real music rises from the underground.
Are you ready for the test? Settling in on rest. Waiting for something or someone to hear your cries for help.
Step aside. It fuels all my recklessness, sleepless, angry, captureless, wandering through darkest space and time. Such relapsing, so relapsing, fuck. Till the center, it just makes me suck. Climb circles into my own flesh. The reality I must confess. Something so serene turn to the dark obscene. If you saw what I can see, you'd be falling backwards. Here's funny.
Was there anything that maybe shout outs, thank yous, or anything we forgot to promote? Please take this time to shine.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to Phil Kaza, who did our last record, did an amazing job. Thanks to my mom and family for supporting. Thanks to all the fans that have already checked out our music. And thanks to those listening to the podcast and listening to my ADHD rants. I appreciate y'all. And hope you stay safe out there in these weird-ass times.
Yes, absolutely. Very good. That was Alex, the vocalist and part of the trio of Sharpened.Lives. Redefining heaviness, exposing truth, and carrying weight through sound. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to them on all streaming platforms so you don't miss the new single this fall and their upcoming EP dropping next summer. And don't forget to head over to underground-nation.com. That's underground-nation.com for all the underground music news, stories, and rising voices. Until next time, I'm your host with the ghost of Ball Boogie, reminding you to keep it real, keep it raw, and keep it underground. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. So cool.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Underground Nation podcast. Big shout out to our guests, Sharpened.Lives. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to their pages and stream their latest singles now. And don't forget to hit up underground-nation.com and follow all our socials for the latest music, interviews, and updates from the Underground Nation magazine. Stay tuned, stay loud, and stay underground.